Let's go. We've got to break down Miller Moss. Can LSU slow him down? Well, it's going to be tough because he looked really good in his only start versus Louisville. Now, this was his only start, but still, as you can see, starting things off with the quick throw here. All right, so we get a win right here from the Louisville defense, and at the same time, it wasn't the best defense. Brian Kelly talked about getting off the field on third down recently in a press conference. You see, you're giving Miller Moss all day to throw. One thing that I do like about this is the anticipation he throws with. He actually makes the wrong decision. Zachariah Branch was covered by that safety. But, man, really good coverage right there. All right, so this is something we're going to ask Garrett Nussmeier to hopefully do some this next season. The zone read pull, right? Miller Moss is not an explosive runner at all, but they don't respect him at all here. And obviously, you want him to pull and take these yards. This is actually some good guile right here. This is something that I would like to see Garrett Nussmeier do some of. If teams know you're going to throw, one thing that's going to affect and help your running is faking like you're going to throw. He's never actually throwing this football at all. He tucks and runs. I do think he could have got a little bit more vertical, but honestly, no, he actually read this pretty fine, and he does a good job just not taking any hits, finding his way to the sideline, and picking up a nice first down. This is something that you're going to see LSU do a whole lot of, all right? Even though Garrett Nussmeier can't run, you could still run RPO stuff. It is a little bit more effective if you have a really good runner. But he reads that this guy is stuck inside here, and all you need is a good block, and this is a nice gain. But 89 completely whiffs this block, and it's blown up. All right, so we get to here, and this is the left guard who's actually starting for USC this next season. He's a senior, Emmanuel something, okay? And you'll see he gets beat with the swim move. So if I'm LSU and I'm watching Miller Moss, I want to be putting some of my better pass rushers in second and third and long situations against this left guard, whether that's Savion Jones, whoever it may be. But I just want to share that this is one of the best throws I've seen any college quarterback make. I mean, let's just bring this back. He is looking right at this slant, and he is anticipating through this window that he can fit this football in right here. First off, this is dangerous because he is so locked in and there are safeties over the top. This can be a medicine ball. I like the safety's brave. I like the receiver's braveness. You'll see that he has no alligator arms, but watch this hit that Miller Moss takes mid-throw. I mean, look, there is a helmet on his elbow right here. The fact that he was able to get up and not actually get hurt on this is pretty impressive. But look at this throw with the velocity on it, and he hits him right in stride. Once again, I give 24 a lot of credit not getting alligator arms. He not only catches it, he runs with it after the fact. I mean, if you're Louisville, you're like, how in the hell did we give up this many yards? I mean, that was just absolutely perfect offense on really, really bad pass protection. And that shows you Miller Moss can really play. All right, we get to this 3rd and 7. I love pre-snap motion, even if it's just a tiny motion. First off, good job by 70. Way better snap than the last one. Good job by this running back and this pass protection. It's really good. Okay, so Miller Moss starts off looking right, works all the way back to the left, and steps up into this pocket. And guess what? He could have run for this. But he decides to throw it to Deuce Robinson because he is hoping, and he drops it. This is a 5-star tight end. All right, 3rd and 8. This is excellent play calling by Lincoln Riley. He knew the last time that he was in this situation that they blitz. So the best call against an all-out blitz is shallow drags, especially if it's mesh. So Miller Moss knows when he sees this many blitzers and the middle of the field is unoccupied, you run mesh. Now what's funny is I actually don't even think this is mesh. It starts off here as like a little stop, and then, or it could be mesh, and that's just kind of tied into it. Moss knows that the shallow drag is coming along, and he buys as much time as he possibly can. It was a bad throw as he was fading away, but Taj Washington was a very underrated wide receiver at USC. He makes a guy miss, and he's able to gain some extra yardage. So that was a good job at Miller Moss reading that out. It wasn't the absolute best throw, But versus that blitz, you just got to find a way to get it there, and he did. So if you're going to Vegas, hit me up. And I wanted to shout out Brian, who shouted out Mekhi Lemon as USC's potential best wide receiver going into next year. Now, Lincoln Riley really didn't play him a whole lot during the year, but he caught 2 explosive passes. Remember, he was fearless over the middle with that first catch. But really watch Miller Moss here look left and then work back right. So why does he look left? Well, it's a single high safety, so he wants to draw this safety over here and create more space on this go through this seam. And that's just really good quarterbacking from a guy who's not really played a whole lot. He has a really good pocket, and overall, this is an okay ball placement right here for Mekhi Lemon. And Lemon next year, as we always talk about on the channel, switch to a single-digit number. He will wear number 6. So this is something that I expect Lincoln Riley to do a lot of versus LSU because, well, the Florida State game was a really good example of LSU not being able to stop these pulls and counters versus Florida State. So I do expect to see a good bit of pulling from USC's offensive linemen, and you're just going to need safeties to step up and fill in the running game like that. That's really good stuff. All right, so 3rd and 8, I expect a lot of this from USC versus LSU. So if we can't get rush with our front 4, Blake Baker's going to get very exotic with his blitz packages, and all USC is going to do, like they did on the touchdown, is just have their quarterback bail out and just hit the shallow drag from where the backers left. So if they're blitzing up the middle, where you want to attack is right here, okay? Especially on a 3rd and 8, where if you pick up some positive yardage, you can go for it on 4th. So it's basically the same thing as a touchdown. Now you just need to make a tackle. Now, Dorian Singer right here is no longer on the team. So he isn't someone that you have to worry about, but that's just really, really good quarterbacking and good play design from Lincoln Riley, and that's a really good tackle right there. Now, how do you combat this if you're LSU? Well, one thing you can do is, they're going to want to have Harold Perkins close to the football on 3rd and long a lot, just to get his rush ability used to its highest degree. And, of course, Perk is better as a rusher than in coverage. But I do think LSU is going to do a lot of simulated pressures to prevent this from happening, where you're blitzing at least one person and you're bringing one person back to guard the middle of the field. But still, you do like what you see here from Miller Moss, just backing up, and then just hitting this guy right in the numbers. All right, so this isn't anything special because if you're an LSU fan and you're a fan of this channel, you know this is a play that LSU ran more than anything else last year. The slot fade, and this is just an easy read for Miller Moss. You want to throw this football at an angle to where only he can get it, and God, this is a moonshot right here, okay? I like the ball being thrown this high. Now, this is really, really, really high, and the DB actually did a good job timing his hand placement here, but that's just a better catch by Taj Washington, who also isn't on the team anymore. All right, here we go. 1st and 10, sudden change, play action fake. So remember, they were showing those pullers earlier. Now they are pulling it from the pullers, and the end crashes down, and Miller Moss is in a really good spot. Now, they're running some variation of smash here, so running, the corner, and this wide receiver is trying to hold this flat. And this is actually a really good job by Miller Moss not throwing this football, right? You're up by 7. In theory, could you fit this in with the absolute perfect throw? Yes, okay? But there's no need to take this chance because that does get picked off quite a bit if you ask me, okay? It just depends on how good of a throw you're on, how good this corner is, okay? The only thing I didn't like about this was I would have preferred this receiver on the scramble drill just to stay here and make this corner make a decision. Or Miller Moss, in this situation, could just take and run and take these yards. But look at this throw he decides to do in this spot. Bang! I mean, you expect a 5-star receiver to make that catch, and Zachariah Branch couldn't. I really, really, really do mean this, that this is absolutely, positively ridiculous quarterback play. I'm literally shocked looking at this throw. So same thing, pull these guys, and this is an RPO read. I thought this was not the best decision to pull it, okay? But he decides to pull it, and there is a lot of traffic over here to fit this football in, and with the guy basically right in his face. Now, remember, he is not the biggest guy in the world. He makes this throw through this window to number 10, gets it over this underneath defender. I mean, that's stupendous. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. And I want you to see it again from here, okay? This angle, I mean, I don't know if I want my quarterback throwing this in the red zone, but while fading away, I mean, look at this. I mean, it's breezying right there. This is a really, really creative way of running split zone. Instead of, your tight end split zoning across what we do in Mason Taylor, do it with the 5-star receiver, but the timing of the snap isn't the absolute best. And you'll see that Branch almost runs into the running back. And all Moss is doing here is he knows that Zachariah Branch is going to be able to outrun this end. And that is just really good play calling just to get your best ball carrier the football in his hands into space. And that's why he's a 5-star, making that guy miss like that. All right, so Louisville is like, look, we're getting shredded on the deep stuff. Let's just protect against that. But the sign of a good quarterback is playing boring, all right? Look, they're running, this is Haas, right? Goes from your slots, comebacks from the outside, and he doesn't like any of it. Take the boring, all right? If they're going to give you the boring, take the boring. You have 2 timeouts, and just take these yards, right? If they're going to give you 6, take 6. So this is just absolute chaos right here by Lincoln Riley. He ends up running the same play. It is the same exact play. So goes from your slots, and Miller Moss actually just stared this down the entire way. The safety bailed out here all the way back here. Kind of an awkward decision. So Moss is like, okay, I'm going to leave my guy wide open on the go, and we're just going to hit him in the chest and make a play, okay? Ends up being a really good tackle there, but, man, Moss is just cooking. All right, so USC likes to be in 11 personnel, 3 wide receiver sets, 1 tight end. 84 now wears number 24. When I was doing some scouting on USC, they like him a lot as a tight end. But this time he gets beat pretty badly right here from this end. So Miller Moss on the deep drop realizes, okay, I am way past the line of scrimmage, 10 yards behind it. Let me step up into this pocket, help out my young tight end, and now there is pressure, okay? Now watch this throw. Off his back leg, and just throws this ball up and allows his guy to make a play on it, and that is just really good stuff. Better play by the receiver, but a good play by Miller Moss as well. I think what USC is going to do, and obviously LSU's DBs are very young, I do think Lincoln Riley is going to test the off-ball linebackers. He's going to test Harold Perkins and Greg Penn over the middle because it is a new linebacker pairing, kind of, sort of, in Blake Baker's defense. There's 84 again. Like I said, that's a tight end that they do like a lot. He's a little bit more of your traditional tight end compared to Deuce Robinson, who's more of your explosive Kamarion Pinton type of tight end. And, man, it's just a really good throw, really good run in that seam. So remember earlier the risky RPO decision that Miller Moss decided to do? Sometimes just hand it. Just hand the football off, right? Because you did have a lot of surge right here. And this would have gone for something. I mean, look at this displacement from this USC offensive line. And then Miller Moss throws his football. And like Garrett Nussmeier, some of the times, Moss hadn't played as much as Garrett, throws a bad interception. And it does get returned for a lot of yardage. Now, he does a good job, obviously, making him cut back inside to allow someone else to make the tackle. But still, bad throw. Bad decision. Now, it is going to be interesting how this USC offensive line goes up against LSU's defensive tackles. I do think they're a little vulnerable up the middle. And this time, Miller Moss just cannot get out of it. All right, so now we get to this third down. And the thing that really impressed me, and it's really, really, really hard to do this in a game, right? For me, putting myself into the shoes of the quarterback, one of the toughest things when it comes to not playing a whole lot and transitioning to actually playing a whole lot is the actual aspect of dealing with the pocket and pressure and being hit. The second thing is throwing the football through windows, right? It's really difficult to do. And he starts off looking left, works all the way back to the right side on this 3rd and 12, and that's a really good catch right here by 89, and they move the chains. And number 89 is Jacoby Lane. Remember the name. He now wears number 8. So 24 now wears 6. 89 now wears number 8. Okay? So this is just a miss right here by Miller Moss. Deep over route. And, one thing about these deep overs is they're really, really difficult to communicate. And LSU's communication wasn't really good at all on the back end. All right, so, when you think Lincoln Riley, you don't necessarily think screen game. But they decide to run a screen here on this 3rd and 8, and, man, they get the absolute perfect call on a screen, which is a safety blitz, okay? Because that's just one less guy that can make this tackle over here. So, man, this is just really good blocking down the field on the safety blitz. Not so much from the receivers, but from the offensive line. And this ends up being a nice gain for a first down. All right, it's 4th and 1, and man, very shocked to see them run counter GT, but with the QB, right? And guess what? They actually have a decent defense set for this. I don't know why on 4th and 1 their depth is back here, right? If they're closer here, they're probably picking up these scrapes for an easy tackle. But Louisville's depth in their secondary and in their backers were just a little weird in this game. And Miller Moss is able to pick this up. Actually, that's the backup, 17 right there. All right, so we get to here. This is just ridiculous quarterback play, but more so great receiver play. Jacoby Lane, this is just redunculous, okay? So Miller Moss right here, this is good understanding of what you need to do as a QB to actually execute this. You've really got to sell throwing this football here to 24, Mekhi Lemon, who now wears number 6, okay? You've got to really sell it because this corner can get over the top of this and pick this off. So he sells it, and then he throws a perfect jump ball up to Jacoby Lane. He's 6'4", big-time receiver prospect. Look at that catch. USC's got some receivers, y'all. Man, I'm very impressed with Moss's anticipation. I really am, okay? Fake like you're throwing this football to Lane over here, and look at when he's actually throwing the slant before the receiver is out of his break. Now, here's something you can do potentially as a corner. Since Miller Moss likes to throw with so much anticipation, you saw him almost throw a pick six earlier. If you play the eyes of the QB, corner with the leverage with where he was, he does have inside leverage on this slant. That's why I was a little shocked that this got completed. You can pick this off, right? If you're, obviously in man coverage, you're playing your receiver and not the QB. But it is interesting, okay? Just something of note. That's still an unfreaking believable throw and catch to move the chains. All right, 3rd and 10. Moss is really good at understanding blitzing, okay? They don't have enough people to block this. They bring one more than you can. So he knows he's unblocked. He wants to give ground to allow Taj Washington to run into this space versus man coverage. It's just smart QBing. Okay, back up, and throw your deep over. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just hit him, and he does for a first. Really, really, really good design, okay, on this touchdown. Corner blitz, all right. So now you get a free release for your 5-star receiving tight end, Deuce Robinson. Okay, he's faking like he's running an in-breaker and then actually getting vertical past this DB right here. So Miller Moss rolls out to the right side and just waits, okay? And he knows he's about to get crushed, but he allows that receiver, and he basically is a receiver, to run past him there on the double move, and all you got to do is just throw it up there, and he hits him right in stride for an easy touchdown. Obviously, last year, LSU's biggest weakness defensively was the edges and just fitting the run overall, right? They had a lot of issues. Tackling is probably the biggest, if we're being honest. But schematically, it's fitting the run that just concerned me, and when you would run towards the edge. So once again, they show, the two pullers, and that's just blocked to perfection. Absolute perfection. And you just got to be able to fill it. You just do. Safety takes a horrible angle. In the safety's defense, that was as clean of a run through as you're ever going to get as an RB. So this turns into an absolutely chaotic run where there's so much space for him to run into here. And it's a good job by 2 to hustle him down. So we pick it up on this end zone angle. And this play, if you play it quick enough, it is a lot easier to chase a counter versus counter GT from the backside. But, you really got to be hightailing it. And the snap was high, and it's still able to be blocked to perfection, okay? Seal this side. 84, like I said, he now wears 24. That's a good block right there by him, and that's a clean run-through, okay? Just a very, very clean run-through. That's teach tape, basically, to get through that hole that cleanly. So, was this game for Miller Moss really freaking good? It was. You really, really, really saw some high-level QB play. And this game obviously moved the needle for USC in a lot of different ways. Okay? The first thing is they didn't go get another transfer quarterback. They were truly impressed. So Caleb Williams sitting out of the bowl game really helped out Miller Moss because this was his first time really getting to start and play. Obviously, the similarities to Garrett Nussmeier are very similar, sitting behind a Heisman quarterback for multiple years, on top of your true freshman year when that guy wasn't there, your year 4. And one other weird thing about Miller Moss was LSU really did pursue him during the Orgeron regime. So obviously the kid has some serious talent. But what if this was just a lightning in the bottle game? So I want to give something away. How about this Jamar Chase card that I pulled recently? All you got to do is, if this video hits 5,000 subscribers, just tag me on Twitter at Power Hour LSU and the Film Study, and I'll just give it away to somebody who shares this on X, Twitter, whatever. So I'm going to give you some of the strengths and weaknesses after watching USC. And I'm not just talking about this Louisville game. I talked about some vulnerability up the middle. I overall think the USC offensive line is actually fine. I don't think it's as good as LSU's, but, John Monaheim, I know I'm not saying his name correctly, pretty decent player, actually really good player. And obviously, Lincoln Riley's a really good play caller, but the strength of this team will more than likely be their receivers. Now, they're a little inexperienced, right? But they were sitting behind some guys like Brendan Rice and Taj Washington. So Jacoby Lane, Mekhi Lemon, and Zachariah Branch, 8, 6, and 1 are the numbers that you have to remember. And I do think their run game will be a bigger part of what they are. Garrett Nussmeier and the Miller Moss are very similar in their career paths. Both were top 100 2021 quarterbacks. Both had to sit behind a Heisman Trophy transfer the final 2 seasons. And their true freshman season, well, it's really hard to play as a true freshman. And both have only started a bowl game, both of which played really well, despite some turnover issues kind of things. So much similarity in the strengths and weaknesses of not only their games, but their respective offenses. So it's a very interesting dichotomy, these two. It's a pretty excellent display of patience in the transfer portal era as well. So let me know what you guys think about Miller Moss. Do you think this game was truly indicative? 6 touchdowns and only a pick. It's just really, really, really impressive stuff. So let me know. And let's have some fun in Vegas. Let's go get this dub. Perk is going to hit Miller Moss so hard he's going to regret staying at USC. Let's go. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom. So you'll have my game prediction. We'll do some more USC previews throughout the week. And tonight we are doing barbecue chicken alert.